established rich coming right back at you. Listen, Jake Paul was not really trying to be funny. He was trying to go viral. And that's the first thing people got to understand about this whole blackface conversation. Because the second he seen Druski's Erica Kirk skit start moving around the internet, his brain didn't go, let me make something creative. His brain went to, how can I escalate this? That's internet culture now. Everything got to be louder, more controversial, more shocking, and more disrespectful. And that's how you end up with a grown man publicly saying he's thinking about doing blackface in 2026, like he discovered some revolutionary comedy idea.
In what ways have you grown closer to Jesus?
I serve a righteous God. And that is why we say our prayers. And we are all his children. But when I say children, I mean like the holy, blessed Trinity, which is why I hold the Bible.
Of course. But we serve a just God. And I rest easy in knowing that he's sovereign, but he's just. And so let the Lord handle that.
Get on your feet, boy!
We have to protect all men in America, especially all white men in America. Those are the boys that we care about in this country. America is built on their backs. Yes, because they are the ones who mattered most.
Now let's clear something up. Druski's skit ain't really the issue here. That character was a parody of a certain type of conservative white woman energy that people see on the internet every day. Over the top, annoying, loud, and self-righteous. That's what comedy does. Comedy exaggerates people. But somehow, Jake Paul looked at that skit and thought, yeah, I should do blackface. That's the part where common sense should have kicked in. Because blackface ain't just another joke. It never was.
I want to ask you something because I've been, over the last couple of days, calling makeup artists, and I was gonna do a response to this and like go and do like the full on
darker.
Yeah. And do it and just do it back, because why not?
Yeah.
Like, are we on the same playing field? Like,
I think if there's a way to do it, singing in well, even this sentence, but if there's a way to do it, I've been here many times. If there's a way to do it, I think there needs to be some black support for the character, I think.
That's the moment the whole conversation changed. Because notice how casual he said it. That's what stood out to me. There was no understanding of the weight of it. No understanding of the history of it. No understanding to why people would even give pushback. It was like, what's the big deal? And that's exactly why Waka Flocka stepped in. Because somebody needed to explain to this man that blackface is not just a random internet double standard discussion. Blackface is connected to a very specific history of humiliation in America. That's what people keep leaving out. And this is why I get frustrated with internet conversations sometimes. People love comparing things without comparing the history attached to it. That's the problem. They keep saying, well, what about whiteface? Listen, whiteface was never used as a tool to dehumanize white people for generations. That history does not exist. Blackface was used during minstrel shows where white performers would paint their face black, portray us as stupid, lazy, dangerous, filthy, and subhuman for public entertainment. That's not the same thing as a comedy movie like White Chicks. And the fact that people keep trying to force those two things into the same category shows how little people really understand about the history of blackface.
I don't think it's disrespectful. I think it's funny.
Hold on. I want to educate you, bro, because y'all ever some shit you making jokes about, bro, folks' grandmama experienced that torture in it. You know what I'm saying, bro? So ain't nobody experienced torture with no white face, but a black face?
You're a more serious guy.
I'm not
and
serious.
I'm a more like, let's all make fun of each other and be bros. I'm friends with blacks, whites, purples, Mexicans, all of the above, girls, boys, Indians, all of that. So I think you're like really serious.
I do too.
You're really serious. You're a serious guy, and you're like, I don't want to make fun of anybody. I'm the opposite.
No, that's your side. But Waka, how am I serious? You don't even know me. I'm sorry that cameras is here, bro. I never did this in my life. This is my first time. But what I'm
First time what?
ever been on the live
I
stream.
think it's good that we're having this.
Now, I don't even know how viral it is. I just seen it. I'm like,
Well,
I can't wait to see
I
it.
want to say, because I know you and we met briefly and you.
Can I land my plane? Can I just
Go
land
ahead,
my
land
plane?
your plane, land your
Would have been funny for you, bro. I swear to God, bro. Jake Paul, bro, you got a good brand, nigga. That blackface shit kind of fuck. Any nigga that black, bro, excuse me, saying nigga that I talk to my people. Any nigga that say you, any black person that tell you, if they see and tell you, nah, bro, that's a joke. They lame as fuck, and that's what we call, bro. You're lying, bro. You selling, you know that shit ain't funny.
All right, y'all. I love it. I got to keep us moving. We're on a time schedule. Who wants to release some music, play some shit?
Oh, we
rap
have some
on
music.
shit?
I ain't know what we was here for.
No, you're good. You're good. This was.
Bro, I'm sorry for fucking up your energy, bro. I just had to let you
No,
know.
you're good. You're good. I mean,
Bro, you know my problem is, bro, I'm just grown as fuck, bro. I'm not them grown niggas you know. Trust me.
I like what they're doing.
Now watch Waka here. This is what I respected about his approach. He didn't come in screaming. He didn't come in trying to act tough. He came in trying to make Jake understand something. And the main point Waka was making was simple. Blackface is tied to pain. That's it. That's the whole conversation. And you could tell Jake Paul kept trying to turn it into free speech. Like comedy should be lawless. People should be able to joke about everything. Listen, that's deflection. Because this is not about whether or not comedy can be offensive. Of course comedy can be offensive. The issue is whether you understand the historical weight of what you're playing with. That's the difference. And this is where I think a lot of content creators get lost today. They think controversy automatically equals courage. And it does not. Sometimes it just means you ignorant to the history of what you're touching on. Or worse, you understand the history and just don't care because you know to get clicks. That's the other possibility people don't want to talk about. Because let's be real, Jake Paul knew this would go viral. He knows people will argue about it. He knows social media loves racial controversy. That's why so many content creators keep dancing around this topic right now. Outrage is profitable. And social media has created a world where people are rewarded for pushing the most sensitive buttons possible. That's why this stuff keeps happening. The reason black people get so passionate about this subject is because for older black Americans, this history ain't too long ago. That's why younger people sometimes don't understand. This is not ancient history. There are people still alive today who grew up around racism, segregation, and racial mockery being normalized publicly. There are black grandparents right now who remember seeing these type of images used to humiliate black people openly. So when somebody says, bro, it's just a joke, that feels different to people who know the history. And this is why Waka kept trying to explain. Nobody experienced torture with whiteface. That was the whole point. Whiteface doesn't have a historical trail of systemic racial humiliation connected to it. Blackface does. That's why the comparison falls apart every time people try to make it. Jim Crow wasn't just a law. Jim Crow was a character on stage. A shucking and jiving yes master stereotype that made white America feel comfortable. You had Zip Coon, the free black man who was dressed up, talking stupid and acting a damn fool. Every character existed to tell one story. Black people are beneath you. And the scariest part, black folks started to play those roles too. See, after slavery ended, a lot of black folks didn't have nothing but their voice and their talent. So they joined minstrel circuits. And yeah, some of them became famous, got paid, got cheered, but at what cost? They had to paint their faces blacker than they were. They had to be the joke, not tell the joke. They had to play characters that mocked their own grandfathers and grandmothers. Look at Burt Williams, the first black Broadway star. Genius, poet, musical talent. And yet he had to do blackface to perform. Ain't that a damn shame? Now this right here is what people need to see more of before they open their damn mouth about double standards. Because once you understand the history, the whole conversation changes. Blackface wasn't built from comedy. It was built from racism disguised as entertainment. That's what made it so poisonous. It was used to make white people laugh at black people during a time when black people almost had no power to defend themselves publicly. That history matters. And I think sometimes internet culture keeps people moving so fast that they think everything exists in a vacuum. Like nothing has roots. Like everything started yesterday. Some symbols came with blood on them. Some symbols come with generational pain attached to them. And when people ignore that history, they start sounding less edgy and more culturally unaware. That's what this felt like to me. And look, I don't think Jake Paul necessarily woke up and said, I'm gonna be racist. That's not even my point. My point is that this internet era has created a certain type of person who thinks there's no line they shouldn't cross for attention. That's my real issue. Everything becomes content, a clip, or let me see how I can get this person's reaction. Until somebody who actually understands that history steps in and says, bro, that's not it. And that's what Waka did. And whether people agree with him or not, he was absolutely necessary in that moment. Because if nobody explains the history between mockery and historical racism, then people gonna keep walking around thinking blackface is just another internet debate topic. And the bigger issue here is not even Jake Paul. It's the fact that social media has trained people to value attention more than understanding. That's a disease. People don't ask, is this smart? They ask, will this go viral? That's why the internet feels so empty now. Everything is shock value, performance, algorithm chasing, and history just gets reduced to content. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe. Establish Rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.